Maganda gabi. Kumusta kayo? Ako si Kevin. Mabuha, my friends. Mabuha, my friends. Alright, so this one is Geographic Now. The Philippines. This one, you guys want me to check this one out a while ago. You're like, a while ago, Kevin. You need to check this one out a while ago. Well, anyways, man, we're about to check this video out today. Today is that day we're checking this video. Alright, so anyways, before we get into the video, you guys are new, man, consider hitting that subscribe and turn that post notification bells. I'll make sure it's all notifications. And for my old fans, give me the thumbs up right now. Alright, let's get into the video. Let's go.
Think about Asia, the Philippines is like the jolliest of them all. They're
The
just
jolliest
happy,
of them all.
fun, jolly people. And
You know what? It's been 3 years. I'm not taking this anymore. I've been pushed around, I've been threatened, I've been thrown in the dungeon, I've been the butt of all the jokes. I'm the Filipino one. This is my time.
My time!
Ah!
Whoa. Okay.
Welcome to the Philippines.
The Philippines.
My turn.
His country. This is his country. Nobody.
Hey everyone, I'm Ken, and as you know, I'm half Filipino. Years ago, I was looking for a job and I saw this ad asking for a motion graphics animator on Craigslist. Paul and I literally met up at a Jollibee for my interview. He said I was his top 3 candidates.
in reality, there were only 3 candidates that applied, so technically I didn't lie, but yeah, the other 2 people kind of sucked, so yeah.
Oh, and back then, I had this weird mustache and Paul's hair was basically this thing.
Ken and I have been talking for a long time, and we agreed Ken definitely has to be in this episode. You've come so far from that Craigslist Jollibee interview, you've earned this.
Thanks.
Yep.
Handa na? Magsimula. The Philippines is an interesting country because there's sort of a dichotomy between labels. If you ask a Filipino if they consider themselves Asian or Pacific Islanders, you might get contrasting answers.
What do
Yeah.
you consider yourself, Ken?
I always thought Pacific Islanders sounded kind of cool,
Pacific Islanders is
so I
cool.
usually stuck with that. So first of all,
The Philippines is a tropical archipelago of over 7,000 islands,
Yep,
about 2,000 of which are
7,000.
inhabited, and it is the largest island nation without any land borders or shared island territory with another nation.
the country is located in Southeast Asia, straddling the Philippine Sea in the north, the South China Sea in the west, and the Sulu and Celebes Sea in the south.
Just
Yeah.
to skip away lies the island of Borneo, which is split amongst 3 nations, at the closest point only about 22 miles or 40 kilometers away from the nearest island that belongs to the Philippines.
Now,
Really?
in general, many
They have
people
an island that
refer
belongs to
to one
Philippines
of the
way down
3
there.
main island cluster regions that people are a part of. There are Luzon in the north, where you can find the capital Manila, and where the half of the population lives, Visaya in the center, and Mindanao in the south.
Otherwise, the nation is made up of 17 regions, one of which is autonomous, the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao. This place has a high level of self-rule and autonomy appointed by the government. We'll explain more about this later.
Okay.
If you want to be absolutely technical, Quezon City, a bit north of Manila, is the largest city in the Philippines. However, the surrounding 16 towns and cities by Manila are called Manila Metro, or the National Capital
Yeah.
Region, and they basically act as one unit.
Otherwise, the largest city outside of the NCR are Davao City in
Davao
Mindanao
City.
and Cebu in the Visayas.
Manila has the largest and
Cebu's
busiest
pretty
airport,
nice.
Ninoy Aquino International Airport, which is basically the hub that services the entire NCR. They also have the
Yeah.
busiest shipping port at the Port of Manila.
Otherwise, the second
Been
largest
there.
airport is Cebu Mactan International, and rounding
there
out
too.
for third place is Davao City Francisco Bangoy International.
I have not
In
been to
terms of
Davao
land
yet, but I would like to
transport,
visit
though,
Davao.
The Philippines is well connected amongst the islands. In fact, the longest highway is the Pan-Philippine Highway that stretches about 3,500 kilometers across the country and connects Luzon, Samar, Liet, and Mindanao with underground tunnels connecting them.
Finally, the Philippines has only 2 territorial disputes. The state of Sabah in Malaysia on North Borneo. The territory once had been part of the Sultanate of Sulu, a Muslim state that existed the 15th century to the 20th century, and that's a whole other story.
As for the others dispute, as we mentioned quite a few times already, this whole area known as the Spratly Islands is a complete mess. If you don't know anything about this
Complete
place,
mess.
it basically goes like this.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. This is the map showing what everyone claims in the area. This big one right here is China's. Like, yeah, they just kind of pretty much went for all of it.
This is even
China
led to
said
a
they
few
own everything?
skirmishes between nations that have built patrol stations on the islands, and when they spot a ship that gets too close, things can get kind of ugly.
It's kind of like this.
Hey, what are you doing? This is my area.
I'm just doing some fishing and research here, you know?
Why do you have a shovel then? Are you building something? Or?
Well, technically there's no land protruding from this reef, so there's no land claim.
So you're just gonna build your own land.
Research.
Anyway, here are some
Did
notable
China
spots of
really
interest.
do that?
Fort Santiago,
Magellan's Cross,
San Agustin Church,
Sagada Hanging Coffins,
Aguinaldo Shrine,
Cebu's Philippine Taoist Temple,
Shrine
Oh,
of Mama
never been
Mary
there.
and Tagaytay,
the Lapu-Lapu Shrine,
I've been
Luneta
there.
Park,
MacArthur Landing Site,
Banawi Rice Terraces.
the
Been there.
Malacanang Palace,
Never
Vigan
got
has
there.
many historical and colonial
Yeah, I went here before.
various national museums of history and arts,
tons of amusement park.
and that's not even including all the natural wonders of the Philippines. They have an underground river,
The most
Wow.
amazing, beautiful beaches.
I want to
in
go
the
there next
universe.
time I
hills
visit.
that look like lumps of
I didn't get a
chocolate.
chance to
And
see
there's
here.
an island in a lake, in an island, in a lake, in an island.
We should hang out sometime.
Yeah, when you have 7,000
Confusing,
tropical
right?
islands on a volcanic archipelago, chances are things can get pretty crazy landscape-wise. Which
Right?
brings us to... The actual physical land of the Philippines is the biggest treasure you will find here for sure. Anyway, the Philippines lies on the Ring of Fire and is specifically on a tectonic plate named after them, the
The Ring of
Philippine Plate.
Fire.
And about 95%
Oh,
of
that's
the land
cool.
is made up of the 11 largest islands.
The country was essentially formed through the tectonic activity between the Philippine, Manila, and the Mindanao Trenches, the Mindanao being the second deepest in the world.
This makes the country susceptible to small earthquakes and minor
Yeah.
volcanic activity.
About
That's what they have a lot of
53
those.
active volcanoes can be found in all of these largest islands, except for Palawan. The most famous and picturesque
I wanna
of
visit
these
Palawan
include
too.
These three.
See this island here?
Mayon.
Queen? It actually has more volcanoes than towns on it. 7 versus 5, making it
Wow.
the place with the most number of volcanoes per square kilometer in the world.
In fact, the tallest peak in the Philippines is a potentially active volcano, Mount Apo, located
Mount
in the South
Apo.
Mindanao area.
The
Huh.
country has numerous mountain ranges and highlands that dip into the fertile valleys, the largest range being the Cordillera Range in the North Luzon area, hooking into the Sierra Madre Range on the east side, which feeds the longest river of the country, the Cagayan, that flows into the Cagayan Valley.
This valley, along with the Central Luzon Valley, are the largest arable croplands and produce nearly all of the rice in the Philippines.
Oh, that's
Visayas
cool.
are known for growing the most sugarcane, whereas Mindanao specializes heavy in coconut and fruit production.
Coconut
Back
fruit
in Luzon,
production.
though, you can find the largest lake in the country, Lake Laguna de Bay, which is actually in the caldera of a dormant volcano.
The lake has a
I
weird
heard that.
detached island called Talim and is actually drained by the Pasig River that flows through the capital, Manila.
And finally, the country is the heart of typhoon territory. They can
Right?
come at almost any time of the year. The nation will experience
Always
on average
typhoons.
about 20 of the turbulent storms annually,
Yeah,
which often
that's one
flood
thing.
to their many river systems. But
That's one thing you gotta get used to if you live in the Philippines. You gotta get used to typhoons. Typhoons happen all the time. Like all the time. Every single year. Like you guys tell me, do not come to the Philippines during typhoon season. I think you guys told me the typhoon season is usually from October till is it October you guys told me? Wet season. October till December, somewhere around there. You guys told me the best time to come to the Philippines is from December to March. I don't know if that's pretty true, right? Let me know in the comments if that's true.
yeah, if anything, Filipinos are the most cyclone adapted people on Earth.
Yep.
They're used to it. The water has always been kind of their thing. Swimming, sailing, fishing.
Just not exactly quite diving into it.
Otherwise, the Philippines is one of the 17 mega diverse nations on Earth.
They actually have the largest level of marine biodiversity in the world within their waters and the highest rate of animal discovery on the planet, with 16 new mammal species that were discovered in the past decade alone.
They have everything from
The longest snake in the world, the reticulated python.
the largest fish in the world, whale sharks.
Whale
7
shark.
of the 8 known species of giant clam are found in the Philippines.
Oh
The world's
wow.
smallest hoofed animal, the Philippine mouse deer.
And their national bird is the largest eagle in the world.
Economically
Wait, hold on. The eagle? Wait, the Philippine eagle is actually the largest eagle in the world? I did not know that, bruh. Like, I've watched the Philippine eagle before, but I always thought that, what's that, a bald eagle was bigger, but damn, I did not know the Philippines eagle is actually the biggest one in the world. Let me know if that's true in the comments down below, guys. Let me know.
The Philippines is considered a newly industrialized nation. It is transitioning out of becoming an agricultural-based system to a service and manufacturing-based one. They have like 3 of the top 10 largest malls on Earth.
Ooh,
Yeah,
just you wait. I'm taking the top spot soon.
They're one of the fastest
Iran.
growing economies in Asia, and as the 34th largest economy in the world, their GDP purchasing power parity has surpassed the $2 trillion mark.
Wow.
Basically, the Philippines is definitely becoming a key power player
Yeah.
in the world stage. It's like,
We're so rich!
Wealth and prosperity.
Yeah, they.
someday. For what it's
Someday.
worth though, mining, fishing, and agriculture are strong industries as well. They are currently the world's largest nickel and abaca or Manila hemp producers, and the second largest coconut producer after Indonesia.
Tourism, though, is another important industry,
Yeah.
taking up about 8% of their GDP, employing over 3 million people.
And now, Food! Now in the Philippines, every
Lot of
region
different
has
food.
their own specialty and culinary strange.
Yeah, every dish looks like a fairy exploded.
Lots of dishes you can eat kumakain kamay, or eat with your hands.
Yeah, pretty much everything has rice, and then you're gonna get a lot
Yeah.
of grease and salt and vinegar. And
A lot of
like,
rice.
I don't
Everything has
care if
rice.
That looks like it goes there or not. I'm still gonna eat it anyway, right, Ken?
Yeah, that's Filipino food.
Yeah.
There's really no official national dish, but three meals that are well known for are adobo, lumpia,
Adobo.
and sinigang.
And in the
Adobo is
non-Muslim
number one.
parts, lechon is a huge deal.
In
There
the
are also
Philippines.
dishes like
in
Tagalog steak,
Tagalog
tinola,
stick.
pancit luglug,
kare-kare,
sigstig,
Six stick. I love
Tagalog,
six stick too.
silaw.
and my favorite Filipino dish, palabok. Just put some nice little lemon juice
Palabok.
on it. I actually got this at Jollibee. If you don't know what Jollibee is, it's like the most popular fast food chain in the Philippines. It's
Yep.
like if McDonald's and KFC adopted a Filipino baby, and they even added spaghetti to their menu for some reason.
Otherwise, Filipinos are dessert experts. They love their ube. Ube everything. Ube ice cream.
Yeah,
ube
I
bread,
tried ube.
pie, ube cakes.
Oh, they also have like sapin, and cassava cakes. Those are the best desserts in my opinion.
They also have halo-halo, leche
Halo
flan,
halo.
turon, bukok, pandan,
Oh my
and
God.
puto. What'd you call me? If you're
There's a lot of foods I still haven't tried, man. I thought I tried a lot of foods when I was in the Philippines, but clearly there is way more than I have actually tried in the Philippines.
either Latin American or Spanish, you may notice some of those foods are also found in Latin cuisines. And there's a reason for that.
Yeah, we'll explain that in. Now, only in the Philippines can you find people that have Spanish names, speak English, celebrate an Austronesian culture, and cook Chinese.
General
So-
MacArthur once said, "Give me 1,000 Filipino
Yep.
soldiers and I will conquer the
Conquer the
world."
world.
Yeah,
I
for some
remember
reason,
this.
Filipinos are like the best friends of Asia. Filipinos still have the best attitudes and smiles. They even give time off felony sentences if the prisoners volunteer to take part in a Michael Jackson dance performance to the public.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Right.
First, the graph. The country has about 110 million people and is the 8th most populated country in Asia and
110
the 12th most
million
populated country in the
people.
world.
There are about
Wow.
175 ethno-linguistic people groups in the Philippines, the majority of whose languages are Austronesian.
Of these groups, the largest ones are the Tagalog at about 28%, 13% are Cebuano, 9% are Ilocano, and 8% are Bisaya. The rest are made up of other groups plus a small minority of non-native citizens, mostly Asians and Americans.
Okay.
It's important to note, though, that the Philippines has about 10.2 million people overseas worldwide. It is one of the largest diaspora populations, spanning over 100 countries. The
Yeah.
US alone has about 4 million.
I mean, they were
4
at
million
one point
Filipinos.
colonized by the US, so go figure.
They use
Yeah.
the Filipino peso as their currency, they use the types A, B, and C plug outlets, and they drive on the right side of the road.
Oh, and keep in mind the word Pinoy is synonymous with something that is Filipino. You might see that used a lot.
Now back
Yeah,
to the ethnic
Pinoys.
groups thing. Since there are over 175 of them, you would think, how do they all communicate?
Well,
Right?
the Philippines has two official languages. English, which makes them the fifth
English.
most English-speaking nation on Earth, and Filipino, which is the standardized version of Tagalog. The Philippine Tagalog language spoken today is
Tagalog.
very different from pure Tagalog. It actually has about 14% Spanish, 10% Malay, and 7% English mixed into it with a slew of other borrowed loanwords. You can see the influence
English.
in words like pintalador, guapo, zapatos,
Guapo,
and
I'm
familia.
guapo.
Often Filipinos
Guapo,
will substitute
que
an
vos
F with a
guapo.
B,
Or a V with a B.
or a V with a B.
Yeah, same with Koreans, actually. Yeah. High five with minimal consonants.
Yay!
Oh, and fun fact, Ken taught me this. In Tagalog, you can actually say an entire conversation just using the syllable ba. For example,
Ba.
Ba, ba ba, ba ba, ba ba ba, ba 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 ba, ba 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 ba,
Ba 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 ba?
ba, ba 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 ba.
ba ba ba.
Well, that was fun.
Really?
Otherwise, in the Visayas
Baba?
and Mindanao areas,
Diba? I know
Cebuano is
diba,
a common language,
right?
as well as the other regional tongues like Waray and Daboeno.
They even have the only Spanish-based Creole in Asia, Chavacano, located in Zamboanga City.
Chavacualo.
Now, the Philippines is unique in that over a past few centuries, they've gone through three periods that shaped their identity.
Before European intervention, the Philippines has had a multitude of early civilizations that built kingdoms and dynasties like the Tondo, the Namayan, the Pangasinan, and the Sulu Sultanate.
Many of these
Oh, I remember the
kingdoms
Sulu
had their
Sultanate.
own indigenous writing system, such as the Babayan, Buhid, Eskayan, and Kulitan.
Genetically, Filipinos are classified as belonging to the broader Austronesian people group, with their closest cousins being the Micronesians, like the Mariana Islanders, Guam, and Palau.
Although over the years, many people have mixed, and today it is speculated that somewhere around 1/5 or more of the population may have some kind of Chinese ancestry. After the
Yeah.
Spanish came in, they adopted many of the customs, traditions, and cultural traits which have Spanish roots. Their own country is named after Spanish King Philip. The biggest trait, though, would be the fact that they are predominantly Catholic, at about 81% of the population adhering
Yeah,
to the faith.
I know
The rest
that.
are mostly Protestant, with a small Muslim minority in the South Mindanao area.
The Philippines is the largest Christian nation in Asia, 5th largest Christian nation on earth, and
world.
3rd largest Catholic nation after Brazil and Mexico.
They have so many holidays and festivals devoted to Catholic themes like All Saints Day, Holy Week, and Easter, and of
Yeah.
course, the largest one, Christmas.
The Philippines
Christmas.
has the longest Christmas season out of anywhere else on earth.
Okay, so now we're just gonna rapid fire a list of 12 fun cultural facts for the Philippines.
Filipinos have a ton of superstitions. For example, whistling at night will turn you into a werewolf.
For formal occasions,
Really?
you may see Filipinos wearing
I did not know that.
barongs for men and
Barongs.
Maria Clara or mestiza dresses for women.
There are
Yeah.
many other traditional costumes and customs for the other 170 ethnic groups. Too many to cover, but it goes everywhere from feathers, coconut fibers, hair dresses, tribal tattoos, and so on.
Speaking of which, the
A
Philippines
lot.
dominates major international beauty pageants with a grand total
Dominates.
of 15 victories at the Miss Universe, Miss World, Miss International, and Miss Earth
15.
competitions.
Really?
Basketball
15?
and boxing are the most popular sport by far. They have the oldest basketball league in Asia and the second oldest in the world after the United States. And come on, we all know Pacquiao.
The Philippines
Everyone knows
is the leading
Pacquiao.
nation to train and export nurses abroad. It's been said at one point, every Filipino has their "should I just drop everything and become a nurse" moment in their life crisis.
That's a fact. I've had those. And the word balikbayan means returner or returning family. It is used when someone comes back from expat work abroad.
You might hear the honorific title of Po or Opo for
Yeah,
elders,
Po.
and a lot of people often raise
Po.
the backs of the hands
Yeah.
of their elders to their forehead
respect.
as a sign of respect and say bless.
In the Philippines, you have your name and you have your Pinoy nickname, and they get really weird and creative. Pepsi, Bing Bong, Jelly Boy, Pinky, Bum Bum, and Earl.
Every Filipino
wonder what
on
mine's
every
is.
island in every region can tell you Filipinos are
Or
obsessed
Kivo?
with karaoke. The first karaoke machine was actually patented by a Filipino, Roberto del Rosario.
Oh, really?
You know, some Japanese dude invented it, but he patented it.
Obviously, that means music is a
Okay.
big deal in the Philippines. Besides taking modern cues from American pop, they also have traditional styles. Instruments include things like gudyapi, kilitang, gimbal, kubing, and togal.
Bing.
In addition, there are many different styles of dance, but the most famous one considered the national dance is tinikling, a dance done
Tinikling.
between two pairs of perpendicular bamboo poles that are clapped together as percussion tools, and the dancers
I
must
think
weave
I've
their
seen
feet
someone
in and out in the
somewhere in
spaces before
Cebu
getting
that
hit
did
or
this.
tripped.
Now, on a bit of a more objective note, we do have to talk about some of the controversies.
The Philippines is beautiful, but if you've been keeping up with current events, they do have their fair share of issues that have made headlines. We don't sugarcoat everything here.
Human trafficking, whether in the sex industry, slavery, or organ smuggling, has been a problem in certain areas. And even though anti-trafficking acts have been passed by the government, enforcement has not always been on par.
The drug trade has also been a major inconvenience for decades, affecting millions of people in the country.
Yeah,
this has
but
led to
I
new
know-
controversial
yep.
laws instituted by President Duarte, which encouraged the
Duterte.
public to seek bounty in exchange for hunting down drug pushers. Many have died in the process.
And
Yeah.
finally, you have the
He's
Moro
strict on-
conflict,
strict
an
on
insurgency
drugs.
in the predominantly Muslim Mindanao region, which sought to take parts of eastern Malaysia and break away through conflict. The fight has been going on for nearly half a century, and now it's just ending at the turn of the 21st century.
Kind of.
For
Kind
what it's
of.
worth, though, in the Philippines, everyone is family at the end. You don't have to be related to anyone to call
No.
someone ate or kuya. There's even
Yeah.
a word, bayanihan, which means something like helping one another through community spirit
Okay.
without expecting anything in return. In any
Exactly.
case, we gotta finish off this segment with history.
Austronesians.
Tribal kingdoms and sultanates.
This guy came to the islands.
Catholicism comes in.
Lapu-Lapu and Magellan
Yeah.
dies in battle.
Yeah, I
Five
remember
Spanish
that.
dudes followed through.
They finally become a colony of Spain.
The galleon trade.
British Philippines.
And then back to Spain. The Treaty
Back to
of
Spain.
Paris.
Philippine Revolution.
The Spanish-American War.
First Philippine Republic. Philippine-American War.
American occupation.
World War II, Japan invades.
American pushes them back.
Finally, Philippine independence.
Ferdinand Marcos turns from president to dictator.
Martial law.
This guy gets killed because he was against the regime.
People Power Revolution in 1986.
Growth from agricultural society to an industrial one.
And here we
Very
are today.
beautiful.
And now we
Very
finish
beautiful
off
now.
with the
Philippines is
notable
very
famous
beautiful.
people condensed. Some famous people you guys, the Pinoy geography people suggested we mention in this episode include
Lapu-Lapu.
Jose Rizal, these two saints,
Melchora Aquino.
Manuel L. Quezon,
Lacan Dula. Josefa Yanes Escoda. And Vicente Lim.
Carlos Peña Romulo,
And
Lot of
all
those
the
famous-
Miss Universe winners. And there's a ton of Americans with Filipino or partial Filipino
No
descent.
background.
Yeah, I
Yep.
can see there's lots of American Filipinos. Those two get along pretty tight.
We'll explain more
American
on how that
Filipinos.
happened in... Because of the long history in the Philippines being colonized by two major Western powerhouses, it would make sense that it would have ties with the outside world in many different ways.
For
Yeah.
friends, the Philippines is generally close with all the ASEAN nations and does great business with them, particularly Indonesia and Malaysia, their closest neighbors.
The Marshall Islands, Palau, and the federal states of Micronesia are all cousin countries, many of which have Filipino migrants in them, and they all share the same history of being former U.S. territories and U.S. influenced states.
Of course, Spain will always be in the back of their minds as the former colonizer culture that they gained much influence from. Although Filipinos are not considered Latino, the Spanish and many Latin Americans kind of see them as like the adopted Asians that totally fit in their family.
The
It's like,
adopted
come on,
Asians.
you're Catholic, you eat flan, every fifth word you speak is Spanish, you're basically one of us.
Basically, right?
The relationship with Mexico has historically been always strong. The Philippines was ruled under a Mexico-based viceroyalty of New Spain. The Manila galleons were Spanish trading ships, which for 2.5 centuries linked the Philippines with Mexico across the Pacific Ocean, making
Oh, wow.
1 or 2 round-trip voyages per year between the ports of Acapulco and Manila. And Mexican traditions
not
were
know
brought in,
that.
like the Day of the Dead and Champorado.
When it comes to their best friends,
Oh, I know the
however,
Day of
most
the Dead. I
Filipinos
actually
would
was in the
probably
Philippines
say,
for that.
Even though colonial years were a little bit bumpy, ultimately the USA and South Korea.
South Korea was one of their closest best friends from the 20th century on. World War II really bonded with them after the Japanese occupation years, and they supported each other diplomatically.
Koreans are the top #1 tourist demographic that visit the Philippines. Koreans kind of admire the fact that even though they were both influenced by the US, Filipinos speak better English, whereas Filipinos practically obsess over Korean products and media.
Yeah. That is so true.
That's why we
That is so true.
For the USA, ties were close ever since they became their colony in 1898. The US also had the largest number of overseas Filipinos at over 4 million, most of whom live on the West Coast states like Hawaii and California. They
Yeah.
are one of the oldest Asian partners of the US. They have a mutual defense treaty, and they are the largest export partner and second largest import after China.
American pop culture dominates much of the youth influence. Hollywood studios love filming there, and Gallup polls have shown that the USA is favored on average by over 90% of the people asked, making it one of the most pro-American countries
Really?
on the planet. And Ken, you take the conclusion.
In conclusion, if
Really, the Philippines love having Americans over there. Huh. I don't know. I felt like I thought differently, heard differently that the Philippines don't like the Americans over there. Could be wrong, man. I don't know.
you enter a room full of Asians, you definitely know who the Filipinos are. While everyone's so uptight, we're the ones singing karaoke and somersaulting. You could just feel the energy of Filipino. There's a touch of Latin flavor with American pop undertones. But in the end, no matter what island, you're immediately considered part of the
The
Pinoy
family.
family.
Ken, you're one of my best friends. I love you, man. I'm so proud of you.
Thanks. Stay tuned. Poland is coming up next.
All right. After watching all of that, man, what did I learn from that? I pretty much learned that, yo, honestly, man, Filipino people there, you guys are mixed up with a whole bunch of things, man. You guys are like every different thing you can find in the Philippines, every kind of nation, every kind of food, all found in the same thing, from Spanish, English, American, Japanese, Korean, all can be found in the Philippines. But what I take away from it as well is that Filipino people are welcoming to everybody, every kind of race, man. Every race, you're welcome as one of the Filipino members and part of the Filipino family. That is what I've got from this, man. Honestly, that's what I got. And that's what I felt. When I visited over the Philippines, I felt that way. I felt like I was welcomed at everyone's house. Everyone wanted to share stuff with me. Everyone was curious to know what I was doing. Because, you know, I had my camera and everything. Everyone was like, what is he doing? Are you a vlogger? Yeah. And like, hey, can I be in your vlog? Yeah, you can. Anyways, man, that's the end of the video. If you guys made it all end, you guys know what to give the video a big thumbs up. It helps me a lot. If you guys need the channel, consider subscribing. Turn that post notification bells on. Make sure it's all notification. And if you guys have any other reaction you guys want me to check out, put in the comments down below, alright? Anyways, I'm out.
Tired of starting over. Stop giving up. Do it! Just do it!